good? It's Richard from Weed City Soul, and we're here to do performance review on the Air Jordan CP3.9. So I've been a big fan of Chris Paul for basically his entire career. I've never picked up one of his shoes before because they never really appealed to me that much. They started getting pretty decent looking around the 6. They regressed a little bit in terms of looks with the 8 and the 8AE. I didn't like either of those shoes at all. But the 9s are a really nice looking shoe, and this Golden Dragon colorway is fire. So we're going to start here with the cushioning as usual. The shoe features a 4-foot, 9-chamber articulated Zoom airbag and a Phylon heel. Now this shoe may look like it has unlocked zoom because of the fact that the airbag is separate from the rest of the outsole and the fact that it protrudes a little bit from the bottom of the shoe. But the difference between this and unlocked zoom is that unlocked zoom has a cored out midsole with a flight plate sitting on top of it to make sure that your foot is directly on top of the zoom airbag, whereas this shoe has a lot of midsole in between your foot and the airbag. That's not to say it doesn't provide good cushioning, because it does. You will feel this airbag compress a little bit, but you won't get a lot of bounce back like you would in unlocked zoom or in just a different zoom setup. As far as I can tell, there's no real reason for this shoe to have 9 chambers. In fact, if it was just one large zoom airbag or a 2-piece airbag like an unlocked zoom, it would be better. At this point, Phylon heels are basically an industry standard if you don't feel like using any sort of special tech, and the reason for that is that Phylon does its job. It absorbs impact pretty well. It's generally a pretty firm foam, but these break in pretty quickly and you'll get a nice feel from heel to forefoot. There's also a cored out crash pad there to help absorb a little impact. The shoe does feature a pretty thick midsole, which does affect the court feel a little bit. The court feel isn't bad by any means. In fact, it's actually quite good. It's just not phenomenal. And court feel is one of the most important factors in a guard-oriented shoe, in my opinion. As thick as the midsole is, as much as it affects court feel, the cushioning will break in a little bit, and it's going to feel a little better. It'll compress. You'll feel a little lower to the ground. In fact, sometimes you almost feel like the forefoot is a little higher than the heel because the airbag protrudes a little bit. It doesn't do anything to actually deter you while you're playing, but it is noticeable. Onto the shoe's upper. The majority of the upper is made out of this foam back mesh material, which is basically hyperfused. You see a lot of shoes coming from Nike that use materials that are kind of like this, and sometimes they call it hyperfused, sometimes they don't, but it's basically almost always the same thing. You also see a synthetic leather making its way around the eye stays with a mesh tongue and a dragon scale embossed heel. Now, the most innovative feature about the shoe's upper are these bands that run across the forefoot, which also act as the eyelets. These straps have basically zero stretch to them, so I wouldn't go in thinking that these are going to be bungee-like straps. They're just really firm straps of material that help lock your foot in from a 360-degree angle all the way around. It works, basically. It's a really simple idea, but it works really well. This shoe has some of the best fit I've ever had in a basketball shoe. It's really, really phenomenal, especially for a low top. Everything is locked in. There's no slippage inside the shoe whatsoever, and it's really great that you don't have to think about that when you're playing. The shoe also features a full-length internal boot to help keep things seamless and comfortable within the shoe. You'll also notice this Achilles pad with a pull tab that connects to the Golden Dragon logo on the back of the shoe. Now, this Achilles pad doesn't really have any performance benefits as far as I can tell. You're not going to get anything out of this shoe that you wouldn't get out of a shoe that doesn't have this. This pad has just become a signature of the CP3 line. Now, sometimes I found from personal experience that you have to sacrifice comfort for a really great fitting shoe because of the fact that it has to clamp down on your foot. But that's not the case with this shoe. The shoe is actually really comfortable. There's no hot spots or chafing anywhere, and you forget that it's on your foot, which is a good thing. Onto the traction. There's a lot of detail and a lot of things going on this outsole at first glance, but if you really take a close look at it, it's just herringbone from front to back, and the traction is excellent. It doesn't squeak like I like my shoes to, but as long as it works, that's what really matters. This shoe runs about $130. It costs $165 in Canada. I got mine for $114, which is a really great deal. When you can get a shoe of this quality for that kind of price, it's really great, because LeBrons are costing $300, KDs are costing $250 these days. So when you can get a model like this on a budget, can't lose. Now, if you're going to put the shoe up against another recent guard shoe that performs really well, you could put it up against the Curry 2, because these shoes basically cost the exact same price. While the Curry 2 is a little bit better in terms of tooling, it has slightly more responsive cushioning, traction that's just as good, and court feel that's a fair bit better than the CP3.9. The upper of the CP3.9 is way better. It's more comfortable, it fits better, and it's way, way more supportive. Now, if you're looking for a shoe that's super responsive and makes you feel like you're standing directly on the ground in terms of court feel, you're not going to find that here. Basically, the only shoe you're going to find that in anywhere is the Air Jordan 28, and that shoe has some serious durability problems. But this shoe is right up there with that one in my opinion. It's really good. This is one of the top 5 best basketball shoes I've ever used in my life. It's got excellent traction, excellent support, excellent fit. Everything about the shoe is really, really good. And so at $150, you can't really go wrong with this shoe. It's unfortunate that there aren't a lot of really dope colorways out for it yet. The Hornets one is pretty good, and the Jade Dragon one is pretty good, but there hasn't been anything really phenomenal other than these. But I do plan on picking up at least 1 or 2 more pairs. It's really that good. In my opinion, this was the best performing basketball shoe of 2015. If this review has been helpful to you all, comment, like, and subscribe, and follow us on Instagram at Wheat City Soul. Till next time, I'm Richard, and they're just shoes.